Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Anne Waodo.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, federal government and ASUU reach a historic agreement to enhance the welfare, salaries and working conditions of university lecturers, promised a new era in higher education. United States holds immigrant visa processing for Nigeria and 74 other countries in President Donald Trump's latest policy move, sparking concern over travel, migration, and international relations. Forward, 3 brothers, victims of a tragic Great Nigeria House fire in Lagos, are laid to rest as family and community mourn their untimely deaths. And Danish foreign minister says fundamental differences persist following candid White House discussions over Greenland's future and strategic importance. And on business, money supply growth hits 4-year low as central bank tightens liquidity.
On sports news tonight, with a place in the finals against Senegal at the Cup of Nations on the line, Nigeria and Morocco battle to secure victory in the semi-finals clash in Rabat.
And from the nation's capital, 2 Rivers State lawmakers withdraw support for Governor Fubara's impeachment, urge him to honor existing agreements and reconsider his actions. We begin tonight in the education sector, and it's good news as the federal government and the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASUU, have signed a landmark agreement aimed at improving the welfare and remuneration framework for university lecturers. At the center of this agreement, unveiled by the Minister of Education, Mr. Tunji Alausa, is a comprehensive review of academic staff pay and allowances approved by the National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission. A key provision of the agreement, scheduled to take effect from January the 1st, 2026, is a 40% upward review of the emolument of university academics.
The unveiling of the agreement between the federal government and the Academic Staff Union of Universities is the reason for this gathering at the headquarters of the Tertiary Education Trust Fund. The event begins with a highlight of the essence of the gathering.
The unveiling of the FGN-ASUU agreement is not merely the conclusion of a negotiation process. It is the renewal of a covenant between government and the academic community, and ultimately between the state and the Nigerian child.
An overview of the agreement, scope, and key provisions is then presented.
These engagements were driven by the urgent needs to arrest the decline in public universities, improve staff welfare, ensure sustainable funding, and strengthen university autonomy.
Although the demands of ASUU have been largely met, there appears to be some grey areas, as highlighted by the President of the Union.
As we are here with joy for a successful collective bargaining between ASUU and the federal government, we need to note that there are still pending issues which are more internal, that is dragging the progress and survival of our university system. Government persistent encroachment into the autonomy of the universities have not stopped. The Governing Council is legally the highest decision-making body of the Nigerian universities, and they are responsible for policy direction, financial oversight, and appointment of principal officers. In practice, however, councils are often subordinated to the whims of government authorities.
With the agreement, the federal government reiterates her commitments to dialogue and sustained development of tertiary education.
Today's agreement is a clear and deliberate, with unprecedented demonstration of the commitment of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, to quality, accessible, and uninterrupted academic calendars for all Nigerian students in a tertiary institution.
After the speeches, the agreement is unveiled. Key provisions of the agreement include a 40% pay rise with effect from January the 1st, 2026.
Thank you very much.
A dedicated professional cadre allowance for senior academics. The allowance applies strictly to full-time professors and readers, recognizing their expanded scholarly, administrative, and research responsibilities. Under the agreement, professors will now receive 1.74 million naira per annum, while readers will earn 840,000 naira per annum to support research coordination, academic documentation, correspondence, and administrative efficiency.
The United States of America has announced a sweeping suspension of immigrant visa processing for citizens of Nigeria and 74 other countries in a major shift in its immigration policy. According to a statement, State Department spokesperson, the pause is part of a review of visa screening procedures to prevent what officials have described as misuse of America's immigration system by individuals who may rely on public welfare or benefits. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt confirmed on X that the list of affected countries includes Somalia, Russia, and Iran, with additional nations such as Brazil, Egypt, and Thailand also reportedly impacted. Under this new directive, immigrant visa applications from the affected countries will be put on hold starting January the 21st, 2026, while consular officers reassess vetting procedures under existing U.S. immigration law. The policy does not apply to non-immigrant visas like those issued for tourism or business travel, but the broad signals a tightening of long-standing immigration standards. U.S. officials frame the measure as an effort to protect American taxpayers and reduce the strain on public resources, while critics have argued that it could disrupt family reunification opportunities for legal migration. And reacting to that development, a former permanent secretary, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Joe Keshi, in an interview with Channels Television earlier today, insists that the Nigerian government needs to reflect, understand, and re-evaluate the actions of President Trump's administration with a view to finding a way to systematically and strategically engage the United States. Ambassador Keshi also says the Trump administration is targeting remittances, and repercussions of these will be felt more by Nigerians in America who send money home and those who receive it.
I think that it will be difficult to interpret, and at the same time, difficult for the Nigerian government to react. In fact, on all days, the Nigerian government is in a very weak position to react. There's virtually nothing the Nigerian government can do in terms of visa retaliation on America, because the bulk of those who will be affected will be Nigerian Americans who want to come back home now and then. And this is the most unfortunate thing. So the Trump administration is sending mixed signals, but I think that our people, that's the Nigerian government, they need to sit down and evaluate, not do things, in silos. I think there's a need for proper coordination. And they need to understand what's going on in the United States, and they need to find a way to break through, this, how do you call it, even this anger, whatever it is that Trump has against Nigeria, because it's very difficult to understand. A couple of days ago, just about a week or two, Trump described that, again, went after Nigerians in the United States and declared that 30% of them are living off the state, which is not true. I mean, I have lived and worked in the United States for 6 years. And I know that Nigerians in the United States, almost all of them are hardworking. They work about 3, 4, 5 jobs, to make ends meet and then to send money home. And even more, Trump has also, is targeting remittances. Although this is not directed against Nigerians, but look, if annually we get over 20-something billion from Nigerians abroad, if he targets remittances, that's a source, that's a huge amount of money that Nigeria as a country will be losing. Family members who used to get this money will probably become among those who will fall into below the poverty line, because this money sent from the United States to Nigerians at home oftentimes for family matters, to address a couple of issues, health, house, school fees, and the rest of them, and all that will be gone.
The family compound of the late Sir Polycarp Omatu Ikwuameze in Umugboma, Uzoakwa, Ihiala is heavy with grief as loved ones gather to lay to rest three brothers taking far too soon. Stephen Omatu, Kashmir Omatu, and Collins Omatu tragically lost their lives in a fire at the Great Nigeria House in Balogun Market in Lagos on December the 24th, 2025, a calamity that has left the family and community in profound mourning. As mourners struggle with a heartbreaking loss, family, friends, and community members are also voicing anger and frustration over the handling of the incident, demanding answers and accountability for the tragedy that claimed the lives of these three young men.
The air in Umugboma, Uzoakwa is thick, not with the heat of the afternoon, but with a grief so heavy it seems to steal the wind. Here in the compound of the late Sir Polycarp Omatu Ikwuameze, a family is being buried in segments. Three brothers, three lives, three empty spaces that can never be filled. Stephen, Kashmir, and Collins Omatu did not come home from Lagos for Christmas as planned. Instead, they returned in caskets, victims of the fire that consumed the Great Nigeria House on Christmas Eve. Mourners wear expressions of despair, yet the priest in his homily reminds all that even amid tragedy, God remains in charge, urging the faithful to hold on to hope.
Just as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats, he will put the righteous people on his right and the others on his left. Then the king will say to the people on his right, "Come, you that are blessed by my Father. Come and possess a kingdom which has been prepared for you ever since the creation of the world."
The commendation rites begin and the brothers' bodies are lowered into the grave. The grief is overwhelming, with wailing and emotional outbursts. The sight of the wives and children of the deceased underscores the magnitude of the loss.
Let the whole world know what is going on here in Ihiala and Anambra State. Let us know that the three brothers, Stephen, Kashmir, and Collins Omatu, we are the same mother. They are my younger brothers. They are victims of what happened on the 24th of December 2025. And others, I am speaking for others who nobody is speaking for them. I'm a priest, and by the virtue of my ordination, I am bound to speak for justice for those who cannot speak for themselves.
A very big loss to us. We never pray for such to happen again. We can't fight anything. God knows why it happens. We only ask God, never allow such to happen in my local government again.
Community members have expressed anger at authorities, particularly the Lagos State government, criticizing the handling of the emergency that led to the tragedy.
The announcement is what baffled me most. He said that there was no casualties. They fed the young promising Nigerians. And they said most especially the fire service. They said that they are for rescue. They rescued nothing. And when I persuaded them to move forward and see that they rescue some lives, they asked me which life are they rescuing. Didn't I hear the comment of the governor that there's no casualty? So with that, they failed me.
I want to plead on governments to help us more, especially in such a market like that. We are supposed to have a firefighting service station, but we do not have it. Lagos State government should do more on us by providing us with a firefighting service station.
Amid tears and heartbreak, the family prays that such a tragedy never befalls them again, as they remember the lives of the three young men taken too soon.
Our thoughts and prayers are with the family. We head to the courts now, where the National Judicial Council has recommended the elevation and appointment of the presiding judge of the Court of Appeal, Enugu Division, Justice Olubunmi Oyewole, for appointment as the Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. A press statement signed by its Deputy Director of Information, Kemi Babalola Ogedengbe, says the NJC at its 110th meeting held on January the 13th this year and presided over by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kekiriekun, recommended Honorable Justice Joseph Oyewole for appointments as the Justice of the Supreme Court alongside 35 other candidates for various judicial offices across the country. Justice Oyewole, born on May the 13th, 1965, is from Ilaorogun in Osun State and takes the southwest slot made vacant as a result of the retirement of the immediate past Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwola. Apart from Justice Oyewole, the Council also recommended the appointment of 35 others as judges of the official judicial officers, and the Council recommended the extension of the appointment of the acting Chief Judge of Imo State, Honorable Justice Agugwa, by 3 months, just as it called on Governor Hope Uzodinma to immediately commence the process of constituting the State Judicial Service Commission to enable that appointment of the substantive Chief Judge of Imo State. In part 2, after the break, peace. The Federal High Court Abuja adjourns 1.2 billion naira fundamental rights enforcement suit filed by human rights activist Omoyele Sowore against Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun and other defendants in March 10 for definite hearing. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. Federal government and ASUU reach historic agreement to enhance the welfare, salaries and working conditions of university lecturers, promising a new era in higher education. United States holds immigrant visa processing for Nigeria and 74 other countries in President Trump's latest policy move, sparking concerns over travel, migration, and international relations. 3 brothers victims of tragic Great Nigeria fire in Lagos are laid to rest as family and community mourn their untimely deaths. And Danish Foreign Minister says fundamental differences persist following candid White House discussions over Greenland's future and strategic importance. Let's head to the courts now, where 2 prosecution witnesses have testified before Justice Emeka Nwite of the Federal High Court Abuja on their experiences during the attack on St. Francis Catholic Church in Owo, Ondo State, which claimed the lives of at least 41 people. One of the witnesses is a nurse with the Ondo State Hospital's Management Board. She told the court that she was in the choir gallery when gunmen struck during the final blessing of the Mass. She also told the court that she had initially thought it was fireworks before it became clear that the church was under attack. Our correspondent Emanuela Ekele reports.
The trial of the Owo church attacks continues at the Federal High Court, with more prosecution witnesses coming forward to provide testimony on what transpired on June 5, 2022 at St. Francis Catholic Church, Owo, Ondo State, which claimed at least 41 lives. This time, it is the turn of a couple, a nurse and a civil servant. The identities of the witnesses are not announced as part of the witness protection program of the prosecution team. The nurse is the 4th prosecution witness, and she works with the Ondo State Hospital's Management Board. She informed the court that she was sitting in the choir gallery when she heard the attack during the final blessing of the Mass. She told the court that she had initially thought the sound from the attack came from fireworks. According to her, worshippers ran for safety while she hid near the altar as the gunshots continued. She added that she later lost her consciousness when she heard a loud explosion, adding that she saw blood all over her body when she regained awareness. She also informed the court that she discovered that her leg had been shattered and she was evacuated to the hospital alongside other casualties and corpses. She also stated that she lost her sight as a result of the attack, where her legs were amputated. Her husband, a civil servant, is the fifth witness. He reiterated that he was attending the service in the company of his mother, his wife, and their 3 children, 2 boys and a girl. He told the court that the gunmen fired into the church through windows before gaining entry and shooting sporadically, adding that explosives were thrown into the church as the worshippers struggled to escape. He confirmed that his wife, the nurse, lost her legs and one of her eyes during the attack, adding that the state government has not fulfilled its promise to procure artificial legs for her. He also explained how he had to wade through corpses to locate his son. The witnesses confirmed that they made statements to the Department of State Services on the incident, and the statements were admitted as evidence.
It was an emotional one, sober and somber proceedings, because he had to come out to show her legs, the amputated legs, to the court. The left eye as well was ruptured as a result of gunshots. So what she's using now in her left eye is an artificial eye.
The proceeding is okay. We expected this. Yeah, it's okay. The prayer is just for us to finish this case on time. In their charges, they mention the nature of a gun. You understand? So nobody is mentioning it. I know I've given them answer because everybody will listen and they will go and prepare for us. No problem. There are other ways.
The court admitted the statements of the 2 prosecution witnesses and adjourned the case to February 10 and 11, 2026 for continuation of trial. Emanuela Ekele, Channels Television News.
The federal government is charging officers and men of the armed forces to remain steadfast and loyal to the unity of Nigeria. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mr. Mohammed Idris, made this statement when he represented President Bola Tinubu at the 2026 Armed Forces Celebration and Remembrance Day Gala and Award Nights held at the Banquet Hall of the Presidential Villa, Abuja. He maintains that the military remains the guardian of the nation's democracy and that the administration is committed to supporting the military to securing lasting peace and stability across Nigeria.
The award and gala night of the 2026 Armed Forces Celebration and Remembrance Day is spiced up with soft music as guests make their way to the banquet hall of the Presidential Villa. The sacrifices of the nation's military is at the center of the address by the Minister of Defense.
Together, they form the bedrock of our national security. You represent the finest ideals of the armed forces of Nigeria, and tonight, the nation salutes you all.
The Armed Forces Symphony, comprising the Army, the Air Force, and the Navy, render a musical tribute to the fallen heroes. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mr. Mohammed Idris, is representing President Bola Tinubu at the event, and he charges the military to continue to defend the nation's democracy while upholding national unity.
As your Commander-in-Chief, I charge you to remain true to the values of discipline, loyalty, and unity that define you as service personnel. In a diverse nation such as ours, you remain the symbol of our shared strength. I urge you to remain loyal to our Constitution and to our democracy.
After the speeches, awards are presented in 3 categories for the ultimate sacrifice: veterans and serving officers. A former Chief of Army Staff appreciates the gesture on behalf of the awardees.
For the first time, we are seeing a gala night and award to recognize well-deserving officers and, of course, soldiers who have distinguished themselves, and also to pay tribute and honor the fallen heroes.
This year's Armed Forces Celebration and Remembrance Day is expected to be rounded up on Thursday, January 15th, with the laying of the wreath at the National Arcade and across state capitals.
And Justice Mohammed Umar of the Federal High Court Abuja has adjourned the 1.2 billion naira fundamental rights enforcement suit filed by human rights activist Omoyele Sowore against Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun and other defendants to March the 10th for definite hearing. Mr. Sowore has sued the IGP and others over his arrest, detention and arraignment by the police in Abuja. At the day's proceeding, his counsel, Marshal Abubakar, informed the court that the matter was slated for mention and all the defendants who have been served with hearing notice were not in court, and they gave no reason for their absence. He prayed the court that the matter be deemed mentioned and the dates be fixed for definite hearing and adoption of processes. Consequently, the trial judge, Justice Mohammed Umar, adjourned the matter till March the 10th and directed that the hearing notice be served on all the defendants. Mr. Sowore is seeking multiple declarations that his arrest, harassment and restraint and subsequent arraignment on October the 23rd and 24th, 2025 were illegal, oppressive and unlawful. And in the originating motion, through his team of lawyers, led by Marshal Abubakar, he accused the police of flagrant abuse of power and blatant violation of his constitutional rights to liberty, dignity and movement. Still to come on the news at 10, we'll head to the nation's capital for more stories with Millicent Walker. Over to you, Millicent.
Many thanks, Anne. And while my heart is in Morocco, I must continue with party politics, and we begin with what's going on in Rivers, where two more lawmakers of the Rivers State House of Assembly, they've appealed to their colleagues to suspend the ongoing impeachment process against the governor, Siminalayi Fubara, and his deputy, Ngozi Odu. The lawmakers, Barile Nwako, who's also the deputy minority leader and represents Kana Constituency 1, and Emilia Amadi of Obiakpo Constituency 2, made the appeal during a press conference in Port Harcourt, the River State capital. While appealing to their colleagues to reconsider their stance on the impeachment process, the lawmakers say there is need for Governor Fubara to do the needful by honoring the terms of agreements brokered by President Bola Tinubu in Abuja.
We agreed to jointly address the press today as a way of speaking to our constituents and indeed the good people of Rivers State on the current matter of the impeachment process against the Rivers State governor, Siminalayi Fubara, GSSROS, and the deputy governor, Professor Ngozi Odu, DSSROS. For the avoidance of doubt, we speak for ourselves and not for the House, as we do not have the leave to speak for the Rivers State House of Assembly at this juncture.
I align myself with all that my colleague, Honorable Barile Nwako, the Deputy Minority Leader of the 10th Assembly. It will interest you to know that I represent the FCT Minister, His Excellency, Chief Barrister Ezenwonye Sonwike. He is my constituent. And I want to let you know that before coming for this press briefing, that I informed him. I told him of it. But he said to me that I should do whatever my conscience tells me to do. I therefore speak to the conscience of the governor of Rivers State and our deputy. retrace their steps and govern in line with the Constitution and keep all agreements entered with the supervision of Mr. President for the good and betterment of Rivers State.
Well, still ahead on the news at 10, we have more on the party politics, plus money supply growth hits 4-year low as central bank tightens liquidity. That's coming up on Business News. Join us again.
My baba, they always say, for market, every day gets your own wahala. Sometimes people go on scam you. But Baba say, no be by gra. You must cool down, dey sharp. Because with OPay payment, your money go enter sharp, no story. But inside market, anything fit happen. One day, we no see phone again. My baba remember OPay USSD lock, dash star 955 star 131 hash. Baba press and lock account. From market woman to driver, from small boy to big man. Now OPay, they protect people like us. My baba fit sell, press phone, collect POS, and still they teach me price. And when they don't tire, go just tap OPay night guard. We no fear for this our hustle life. Now OPay be the people payment shield.
I am the chef of life.
Huh? Mr. Chef, it's a 2-finger crush. Pass me the chicken and all purpose.
With Mr. Chef, a simple crush turns meals into culture and moments into memories.
This is the true taste of home
and culture.
Chef of life.
Win your share of 3 billion naira. Become one of 10 millionaires weekly, or win a chance to see Real Madrid live. 3 SUVs to be won. Buy any needed 400 mil promo product, scratch and dial to enter.
You're watching the news at 10, coming to you live from our Abuja studios. We continue in Rivers, where in reaction to comments from some quarters calling for the recall of members of the Rivers State House of Assembly over the impeachment process, stakeholders and ward representatives in Akukutoru local government area have held a meeting, passing a vote of confidence on the majority leader of the House, Major Jack. Now, Major Jack moved the motion for the impeachment of Governor Fubara and his deputy, which is currently in process by the 10th Rivers State House of Assembly. The gathering attracted a large crowd cutting across party lines, and it said that constituents were duly consulted and are in full support of their assembly members and the entire House. The meeting, we understand, took place at the council headquarters in Abonima. Our correspondent Deborah May Feberesima has more.
This is a gathering of representatives of the 17 wards in Akukutoru local government area, councillors and other stakeholders, alongside the council chairman Aboyi Abob Fubara. According to them, the meeting was convened to publicly declare their full support for the majority leader of the 10th Assembly, Major Jack, who represents Akukutoru Constituency 1, and also moved the motion for the impeachment. They insist that constituents are fully briefed on the impeachment against Governor Simeon Fubara and his deputy, and are in agreement with the steps taken by the Assembly. Speaking on behalf of the stakeholders, the council chairman condemned calls for the recall of lawmakers, warning that such moves do not reflect the position of the people of Akukutoru.
And so long as I have a mandate, I can act according to the law. Now, what we are here for, like the various speakers have expressed themselves, is to support our representatives. And then we are aware that Akukutoru will have 17 powerful wards. I want to do it myself. When I call for one, it's not to signify by putting up your hand. I want all the people from the ward to get up so that we see and then tell the world that yes, it is the people that voted for these persons that have also gathered to say we are solidly behind them. Therefore, beginning from Ward 1,
After the the chairman, other stakeholders and ward leaders in turns reaffirmed their support for the impeachment process.
The state cannot stay without appropriation, which the governor will spend taxpayers' money. It doesn't work that way. I want to also say clearly that all the 7 points, the 7 grounds on which the governor has served impeachment notice, we are well with supporting and
Speaking to Channels Television shortly after the meeting, both the People's Democratic Party and All Progressives Congress chairmen in the local government say their support for the assembly members goes beyond party affiliation, noting that lawmakers are acting in overall interest of Rivers people.
The governor and the House of Assembly member are equally elected the same day. They have the mandate of the people, and the governor is not doing well because he has refused to recognize the other arm of government. And in that kind of government, it looks like a banana republic.
It will be recalled that groups such as the Joe Youth Council and members of the African Democratic Congress had earlier called on constituents to recall members of the 10th Assembly following the impeachment move against Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his deputy Ngozi Odu. However, the Assembly appears undeterred as a statement signed on Sunday by the House Committee Chairman on Information, Inemi George, contained that the majority of members have resolved to proceed with the impeachment. The statement cites alleged non-presentation of the 2026 budget, unappropriated spending, and claims that the Assembly and Judiciary were deprived of funding. It also confirms that impeachment notices have been served on the governor and his deputy. However, recent political updates from the Assembly show that 4 Assembly members are no more in support of the impeachment move by the House. While on the side of the governor, Siminalayi Fubara, he had on Sunday called for calm, expressing faith in God that all will be well. Once again, the harsh reality is that there might be more political intrigues as the days unfold. Deborah Miyefe Beresima, Channels Television News.
And that's it from the nation's capital, and it's with great optimism that I hand over back to Anne for more on the news at 10.
Thank you, Millicent. Well, we're all hoping for the best. And in Gombe State, Governor Inuwa Yahya has flagged off the online registration platform of the All Progressives Congress, the APC in Gombe State, for existing and prospective members. While leading the charge for the simplified e-registration process, Governor Yahya promised to deliver 100% votes in the state to the APC during the general elections come 2027. The governor believes that more people are joining the party in view of the dividends of democracy enjoyed in the state and from the federal government.
Governor Inuwa Yahya of Gombe State arrives the state secretariat of the All Progressive Congress as he leads the charge for the flag-off of the party's e-registration exercise in the state. Ahead of the 2027 general elections, the party is making its registration processes seamless and appealing to Nigerians as Governor Inuwa promises 100% turnover.
This new innovation of making e-registration, whereby we have a clear document that testifies to our membership that can be used empirically in order to decide where we face, how we face it, and well equipped. We are ready to go. So we work together and cover the distance. It's not a long distance. We know and we have the confidence that all the followership of the party in Gombe will do the needful in a very, very short while.
Describing the innovation as empirical and progressive planning tool, Governor Inuwa says Gombe State is leading the charge for President Tinubu from the front.
I want to assure everybody here that I'm taking charge and I'm controlling and directing this party to deliver victory 100% in Gombe State. Thank you, everybody. And I want to ensure and encourage everybody to go back to his word. and ensure that we do the needful so that we get ready to go.
The party is targeting 12 million new members, and they are confident that the portal have adequate room to accommodate the new and existing members.
In 1 week, the party has gotten 2 million members registered under the party, and therefore, if we are to go at that rate, by the time the 5-6 weeks is up, we will have nothing less than 10 to 12 million members.
The reason why everybody should enroll on e-platform, it makes it easier, and there will be no any other cutting corners to know who are real members of the party.
The exercise is expected to be flagged off in all 114 political wards and 11 local government.
The People's Democratic Party against a suit instituted by the faction of the party in the camp of the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike. Justice Abdul Malik adjourned the matter to allow counsel for the plaintiff, Onyechi Kweazu, respond to the motion for stay. The Wike-led PDP and its acting national chairman, Mohammed Abdurrahman, alongside Samuel Anyawong, the group's national secretary, had filed the suit. The plaintiffs in the suit had sought an order of injunction restraining the Turaki-led leadership from parading themselves as representatives of the PDP in any capacity. They also prayed the court to stop the police and Department of State Services from allowing the Turaki-led leadership access to the party's national secretariat at Wadara Plaza in Abuja. They also sought an order of injunction restraining the Independent National Electoral Commission from accepting any other office address or any address from the Turaki-led leadership as the PDP's office, other than what is already being contained in the Commission's records. Justice Abdul Malik had earlier granted an ex parte motion brought by the plaintiffs, directing the parties not to take any action pending the hearing and determination of the suit. And following that order, the Turaki-led PDP challenged the decision at the Court of Appeal. They also filed an application for the court to stay proceedings in the suit pending the decision of the appeal court. The Turaki-led leadership, through their lawyer, equally filed a motion of notice asking Justice Abdul Malik to recuse herself from the case. They argued that there exists a reasonable and well-founded apprehension of likelihood of bias against them in the manner the suit had been handled by the judge. We're now delving to the world of business. Willie Bong is standing by.
Thank you, Anne. Nigeria's money supply growth slowed to a four-year low of 12.83% in November 2025 as the Central Bank of Nigeria intensified efforts to withdraw excess cash from the system to curb inflation. And CBN data shows money supply growth fell sharply from its 2024 peak of over 51% after the bank mopped up about 33.1 trillion naira through open market operations and other liquidity tools. Analysts say the slowdown supports inflation control by easing excess demand. Meanwhile, inflation continued to ease, slowing to 14.45% in November from 16.05% in October. Still, total money in circulation remains high, with broad money supply rising to a record 122.9 trillion naira, though growing at a much slower pace. Meanwhile, Nigeria's financial investment climate is set to be more vibrant this year, driven by anticipated CBN interest rate cuts, a stable foreign exchange market, and ongoing reforms. Now, speaking on Business Morning, AfriInvest West Africa's Group MD, Ike Chioke, said these factors are expected to create profitable opportunities for investors. He added that the CBN is likely to follow the lead of other major global central banks in easing interest rates in 2026.
The central bank has done a great job instead of stabilizing the FX environment. External reserve now $45.6 billion. The sort of spread between the parallel market and the official market is less than 1% because of this EFM system, electronic foreign exchange matching system, that allows buyers and sellers to see themselves. It's much more efficient, and there's no way opportunity for speculators. So that's helpful. Although MPR is still high, it's come down to 27%. We think the environment is ripe for further rate cuts. We've seen a more dovish stance from other central banks, and we hope Nigeria would toe that line and perhaps bring rates down.
Now, Justice Awagumi of the Federal High Court Abuja has ordered the Central Bank and the Nigeria Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC, to freeze 7.15 billion naira linked to Paralex Bank. And the order followed an expert application by FHD Mega Express, which said the bank failed to issue letters of credit worth over $7.3 million. And funds are to be held in an interest-bearing account pending the hearing on January 15, 2026. FHD Mega Express accused the bank, the Paralex Bank, of misusing its funds, withholding shipping documents, and demanding extra money due to forex volatility. Now let's get a check-in on the domestic stock market, which still bears good news. Larry Williams has the details.
Well, it's green shoots everywhere. The NGX closed on a high note today, with the all-share index gaining 0.56%. Was a dominant performance for the bulls, as 47 stocks closed in the green, leaving only 26 in the wake of the rally. But the bulls didn't have as much vigor as yesterday, with volume and value of trades down about 32 and 11%. But it was a sea of green to end the day, with gainers nearly doubling losers. The NGX is carrying a lot of momentum right now. Let's look at some of the sector performance now. The sectors that we track, we see for banking that closed in the green. Well, we could call it flat though, but it's green at this point. Consumer goods profit taking there 0.20%. Then the oil and gas counter keeps shining at this point with a massive 6.26% advance there for the oil and gas counter. Let's get a check on the market move where we see Iredell again 792. I guess we could call it a rally. At this point, might be a top gainer for the week. But at this point, the bulls are still maintaining.
Thank you, Ladi. Let's see the snapshot performance for other major equities. And that's business news. I'm Will Ibong is back to Anne for more on the news at 10.
Thank you, Will. And outside our shores, the Danish Foreign Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen says that the fundamental disagreement remains after frank White House talks over Greenland. The Foreign Minister made this known at a joint press conference with the Greenlandic Foreign Minister, insisting that it is absolutely not necessary for the United States to acquire the Arctic territory, as there is no instant threat from Russia. Let's join Simon Puser with more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. President Donald Trump has said the US will take very strong action against Iran if it executes protesters, as rights groups say more than 2,400 anti-government demonstrators have been killed in a violent crackdown by Iranian authorities. On Truth Social, Mr. Trump wrote, "Iranian patriots, keep protesting, take over your institutions, save the names of the killers and abusers. They will pay a big price. I have cancelled all meetings with Iranian officials until the senseless killing of protesters ends." Relatives of 26-year-old Irfan Soltani, who was detained last week, say he was due to be executed today. It is unclear whether that has taken place. Soltani's relatives say that an Iranian court had issued a death sentence in an extremely rapid process within just 2 days. At least 32 people have been killed and 66 others injured after a construction crane fell onto a moving train in northeastern Thailand. The crane derailed the train and crushed some of its carriages, one of which caught fire. A 1-year-old and an 85-year-old are among those injured, with 7 people in a critical condition. Officials say some 171 passengers had been on board the train when the accident occurred at around 9 a.m. local time. The State Railway of Thailand has launched an investigation into the incident and announced that it is taking legal action against the construction company responsible for the crane.
Because of physical impairment.
The head of Uganda's electoral body says he has received threats warning him against declaring certain presidential candidates the winners of Thursday's election. Simon Bakama said he would not be intimidated by such threats from senior state officials, whom he did not name. He was responding to a question about a widely shared video which shows a presidential assistant saying the Electoral Commission would never declare opposition candidate Robert Kyagulanyi, popularly known as Bobi Wine, as president, even if he were to win. President Yoweri Museveni, who has ruled the country for nearly 4 decades, is seeking a 7th term in office. China announced record export numbers for 2025, a year when US President Donald Trump's tariffs and trade policy caused turmoil in the global economy. Beijing reported the world's largest ever trade surplus, the value of goods and services sold overseas compared to its imports, at $1.19 trillion. It's the first time China's full-year trade surplus has passed $1 trillion, beating 2024's record figure of $993 billion. China's monthly export surpluses passed $100 billion 7 times last year, a sign that Trump's tariff campaign had barely affected its overall trade with the rest of the world. A surreal drum duet between 2 East Asian world leaders has set the internet abuzz and put a spotlight on Japan and South Korea's diplomatic relationship. Decked out in matching blue jackets, South Korean President Lee Jae-myung and Japan's Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi played drums to the beats of K-pop hits. The performance, a nod to Takaichi's past life as a drummer in a heavy metal band, wrapped up Lee's official visit to Japan this week. It's also part of Lee's diplomatic overtures to regional powers, including Japan, with whom South Korea has a fraught history but shares a security alliance. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Hello and welcome to Sports News. Let's get things started in Morocco, where it is still goalless after 90 minutes in the semi-final game between the Super Eagles of Nigeria and the Atlas Lions of Morocco at the Africa Cup of Nations. The game will now head into extra time. A place in the final against Senegal at the Cup of Nations is on the line for both nations, that's Morocco and the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Where Senegal's Teranga Lions secured their place in the Cup of Nations final with a hard-fought 1-0 victory over Egypt. The match was a tactical battle from the opening whistle, with both sides displaying the defensive discipline that has defined their respective campaigns. The deadlock was finally broken by Sadio Mane in the 78th minute as the Lions capitalized on a rare opening in the Egyptian defense. And despite a late surge from the Pharaohs of Egypt, who threw everything forward in search of an equalizer, Senegal weathered the storm to preserve their narrow lead until the final whistle. In the meantime, Burkina Faso has sacked their coach Brahma Traore and all of his staff on Wednesday following their exit from the tournament at the hands of bitter rivals Côte d'Ivoire. Burkina Faso, who also failed to qualify for this year's World Cup, were beaten 3-0 by their neighbors, who were defending champions in Marrakesh last Monday. Traore took up the job in March 2024. away from Morocco, let's talk club football now. Tottenham Hotspur have completed the signing of England midfielder Conor Gallagher from Atletico Madrid for a fee of £34 million. Aston Villa, we hear, also approached Madrid over the player, wanting him on an initial loan deal with an option to buy, but the La Liga club weren't keen unless it was an obligation to buy. Spurs were with the market for a midfielder after Rodrigo Bentancur was ruled out for the majority of the season with a hamstring injury. Gallagher has signed a 5.5-year deal with Spurs. Los Angeles 2028 Olympics chief have promised an affordable and inclusive game as they prepare to open registration for a lottery to buy tickets. LA 28 chairman Cassie Wasserman says 1 million tickets to the Olympics and Paralympics would be priced at $28, while a third of the roughly 14 million tickets due to go on sale would cost $100 or less. Fans around the world will be able to register for the chance to secure an opportunity to buy tickets starting in April. And we look forward to it. That's sports. I'm Kelly. It's back to Anne.
Thank you, Kelly. And the main news again. The federal government and ASUU have reached a historic agreement to enhance the welfare, salaries and working conditions of university lecturers, promising a new era in higher education in the country. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu. Good night and please stay safe.